Tommy Tucker, who's a young lad?
Liam is on a school sabbatical type of thing, so he's in here with us, and we're putting him right.
I think.
Yeah, he's in on this interview because you've seen him training before, and you've gone on about, you know, Jack switching and all that lot. These kids we teach from the beginning, and they've all called it the Jack Cullen shuffle. Yeah, you know, the switch and the movement and the shifting and all that type of stuff. So, like, you know, he's in today and he's learning so much off Jack. And we get that with a few kids who come in here and share a bit of a camp with Jack.
Well, let's go right back to the beginning, because you've had him since a young boy, haven't you?
Well, since about 14, 15.
So, he might have been boxing, just a couple of years?
Since about 13, I think. He started with Newbury and Farnworth. I think that's where he came from, isn't it, Jack? Yeah. So, yeah, he started with Newbury and Farnworth and, you know, had his early career with them, and then started with me when he was about 14, 15. And we've been through probably different types of styles with him to suit the stage that he was at, type of stuff. Like you mentioned before, the transitions he's made from turning pro. I mean,
because it's not been as straightforward.
No.
I was watching him there, and I've seen it over the last 3 years. I've seen him transform. You know, the switching was not quite as sweet as it is now. The movement wasn't the movement wasn't there. They say he was switching, but the movement wasn't there. Now he seems to have got everything together, and also he delivers punches with ridiculous amounts of power with either hand, and effortlessly.
Well, as an amateur, he was mechanically a mess. I couldn't work him out. I spent so much time working him out, but because he was getting ready for bouts in the amateurs, we kind of did the best, which were kind of buckle up, make a short range fight of things, and everybody got on my case saying he should be using his jab, but Jack at that particular time had a big problem with listening and it getting through. The big change come as we were turning pro. We used to go and spar Scott Fitzgerald, and Scott nearly took his head off.
I remember that. I think I was there the first.
It probably happened a couple of times, and I used to come. I've said it to Jennings a few times. I used to come away and I used to feel like fucking crying, and literally, and I'd be so upset, and I'd chastise myself as a coach. Anyway, we've come in here, and you've heard of the famous bollockings he gets. I've come in here and I've just laid it out to him that, you know, I couldn't carry on like this, watching him fucking take shots like that, and we've both got our heads down. He's listened for the first time in his life, you know.
But the techniques that you work with him, where do you think of them?
Well, we've always worked on them type of stuff, but it never stuck. He just didn't listen.
But I mean, you just, like, you the little leg thing that you used before in the ring, and then the man, you know, where you're pushing him around, you know, these are things I've not seen people do before, but these are things that you're regularly bringing into his camp. I see training things that I've not seen anyone else do.
Well, fortunately, we've used the dummy for a long time. If I've tried to get it in the ring, but that base is just too heavy, you know, like, and move it out ring. And we had like Ricky Adams, you know, that moving back. Yeah. You know, I had one of them made once down at Carl Lindsay's, but we tried to get one in here, but it shakes our buildings thing. But so yeah, you've got to keep constantly thinking and adjusting to what makes him better. You know, and luckily, Ian now, so like we usually have 3 heads on it. You've seen what Tucker's about with his strength and conditioning and so on, and it gives me time for being outside and have a watch of his feet, watch everything he's doing rather than being on pads and not seeing anything. Yeah. So it kind of gets to 3 to 1, and we're lucky.
Do you think that's what's helping him progress?
Of course it is. He gets on. Everybody's on his case at all times, and we go away. We have a sit down, a cup of tea, and we talk a lot, you know, stuff like that, and what's the best thing for him. So like you say, when all these what you might think be unconventional training methods and so on, well, we've got 3 heads on it, and to top it all, I've got 1 boxer or 2 boxers with Kane that we do these type of this type of mentality around, so they get they get, you know, I only on the phone to Ian last night. Me and Ian talk every day on the phone.
You know, the way I hear you talk about him sometimes, it's like, it's really hard work. So, when did you first know that Jack had the potential to go a long way? Because, like I say, in 4 weeks' time, he could be the Commonwealth, or let's say he will be the Commonwealth champion and be, you know, a GB kid doing it. So, when did you know that he had the potential to go this far?
Well, I believe, number one, Jack's got the massive pair of bollocks I've ever fucking met in my life, yeah?
So that was the first thing that you thought?
Yeah, and I've already mentioned this to you before, you know, kids have got to have balls, they've got to want it. He looks across that ring and they're having it, yeah? And that's it. It doesn't matter who they are. I can remember we went over to Belgium once. We treated him and Jack Flatley to go over to Belgium and train with Peter Fury, Huey, Tyson, Dillian White with her, the kid who knocked out Audley Harrison. I think he got to British champion, I can't remember his name. But anyway, they were a good camp there, and we went over sparring somebody called Albert Oos, I think it was, Thai boxer who just turned over from Holland and stuff like that. Anyway, we went over, this kid never turned up for sparring. Anyway, Tyson was in the ring and he said, well, I'll spar him. And I went, Jack, shut up, you dick. He went, no, I'll spar him. And I said, but he would spar him. I'm like, his Jackie's and everything. He said, well, what about you then? I'm like, listen, you better fucking shut up. You know what I mean? Anyway, but that's what you want. I weren't going to spar him with Tyson, I weren't going to spar him with you. But that's the fight in him. You know what I mean? There's no challenge.
When he fought Harding, obviously, Harding, even though he was very inexperienced, I think he only had 7 fights, hadn't he? But he had Dillian White backing him, and he was in with this with confidence, and everyone thought, well, Jack's in for a tough night here. And Jack was looking at him, just smiling, and I was thinking, well, is this fear or not? But it was just total supreme confidence.
I've never seen him with fear. It doesn't exist. There was an old interview with Ray Arcel about Roberto Duran, and they said the question is about after he quit against Leonard, and he said, listen, Roberto Duran doesn't have an heart, yeah, and that's what, like him, he doesn't have an heart. There's no arse in him. I've never seen him show his arse. He's like on the outside, stuff like that. People will turn up on pub if they want a pub brawl on car park, no problem, get outside. There's no phase in him. It's kind of can work against him sometimes, but the thing is that he's a boxer and it works for him, you know. So and when you say about
he's never been down as an
amateur. He's never been amateur down as an amateur or pro.
What about sparring him?
Never. Scott had him on deck once with a body shot, and it was ballistic. It were a left hook that hit his arm, and his own elbow went in against his own ribs, and that's how hard Scott hit. You know, at that time with the body, and obviously he's hitting that hard now. But and he went down on thinking it was probably like last round or something like that, and that's the only time he's ever been down. And it were a ballistic shot, you know. So that's the only time he's never been down from an head shot. No. I've only seen him a couple of, you know, even when he comes back to the corner, and I'd be like that, and I've seen him get hit with boomers, and I'm going, are you alright, did it hurt you that, Jack? And he's going,
it just seems to, you know, where most people, it can put you to sleep, it seems to wake Jack up, because I remember Masinga caught him at the end of the first round with a good shot. The second round he come out and stopped him.
And that
cross-border. He caught him.
And they were good tests then, they were good tests for the time.
I think at the time he was he 6-3 or 7-3, that kid, you know, and it was just I think that's when he should have been fighting Reece Cartwright, wasn't it? He should have been fighting for the English, and he fell through, so he was brought in at the last minute. But it was one of those that could have been a right banana peel for a lot of people, but it wasn't. Yeah,
well, you know, you've seen today what Tucker brings. You know, like I'll let Tucker have a chat about what he does and all that lot with the strength, what we call strength and conditioning. But with Tucker, he's from boxing. And he's picked up all the strength and conditioning stuff because he used to work with Phil Richards closely, and Carl Ince and stuff like that. And he's who was that rugby team you played with? Lee? Football team, league football team. He used to do the strength and conditioning with them and all that type of stuff. But he's come back to boxing. He knows what's entailed. He works with me. We discuss everything.
From the beginning, wasn't it, with Jack there, wasn't he?
A
year into it.
Probably been here, 12 years on and off.
Yeah, but I mean, since you've been back here working with Jack,
it's been
about 2 years, isn't it?
Yeah, 18 months, something like that. About 18 months.
And this is what you were saying, this is giving you more time to focus on him, because he's allowing him to get with the body belts and the pads, while you can watch and see the mistakes and the things that he's doing right as well.
Yeah, and I can, come away from the fitness side of it and go home and, like you said, do all this thinking stuff like that and have a big row with myself in my own front room about what's going on and get myself angry and put it into a positive mode and do that side of it. And the other side of things, Ian's not here, but Ian's organising skills are really good. He rings up for sparring, he organises stuff on things. He's a very pen on paper man, so he's not here now, but he is an integral.
Your own different attributes to the
it's the team, innit?
And we've got 2 boxers. I'm not concentrating on a load of boxers or this, that and the other. And I'll be honest, even with Jack, it's hard work. It isn't easy. Being a boxing coach isn't easy. To try and spread it out over 5 boxes, 6
everything
boxes.
that you teach him for each camp, by the time he comes back into camp for the new one, he's forgotten.
Yeah, we have to redo it all again.
Is that what keeps it fresh then for him?
Well, I've hated the fact that I have to do that, but the thing is, he picks it up quicker and quicker at every time. But the thing is, it refreshes everything, and we don't take things for granted, so things don't go amiss like, I'm surprised, I'm surprised that I've sneaked in, you know what I mean? So so it's a good thing in a way, in a perfect world, it'd be great for come back to Floyd Mayweather every camp,
But a lot of people will say, he needs to do this, he needs a new coach, he needs this and that. Just like peeve you a little bit, because, no one knows it better than you. And realistically, this is your first step into the pro game. And you've already produced a champion, he's an English champion. Yeah. And in 4 weeks, he'll be the Commonwealth champion.
And what you've got to understand, I didn't want to do it. And I was ill. I was ill at the same time he fell off the scaffold. We went through the same type of stuff.
When you say ill, you were very ill.
Yeah, I had cancer and that. So we went through. Luckily for both of us, we was both fucking out of collar at the same time type of stuff. And that I can remember going to the gym and telling lads I had cancer and how serious it was. And I was getting upset and I got a tear in my eye because I wanted to see him through his rehabilitation.
Yeah.
Are you with me? Back to being a boxer. And luckily, the surgery went well, and they used to let me come out of chemo and have a flask, which comes on a belt. Yeah. Right. And I used to have my chemo out. Because it used to take over a period of maybe 3 or 4 days, and I used, every 2 weeks, they used to let, and these things all went into my tube sort of thing, and this flask of this bottle it were all contained in that, and they used to let me out, and I used to come to the gym, and we used to work in gym and stuff like that, and that got me through a lot as well, and.
Did it help you then have to focus on him?
Of course it did. It became a bit detrimental to probably my relationship at the time that I was in, because it was boxing and a bit selfishness for me and boxing, you know what I mean? But with Jack coming through this.
So you always like to say really, really early. I've briefly spoke about it on the interview with Jack before, but Jack almost died when he fell off that scaffold.
Oh yeah, every
he doesn't remember when he finished on the floor. All he remembers is waking up in the hospital, which he was airlifted to.
Yeah, but unfortunately for him, he hit every tube on thing. He smashed his head. Not go too far in that. Broke his jaw. Broke his elbow. Broke his kneecap. He had his kneecap displaced. He's still got a big scar on there and everything. Was there anything else on that, Jack? Oh, broke his. He kind of broke nearly everything that needed breaking on the way down. So, and then he's had come through that. And then when he did come through that, unfortunately for him, he'd already had knuckle trouble with a few accidents before this that put him out, affected his boxing, and he had a bad hand, and he landed on that hand.
Yeah.
That his fist broke the fall. Anyway, so when we've come back going into the amateurs, he couldn't even punch proper, he couldn't even jab because it was his left hand, and so as soon as he jabbed, he knocked his knuckle up.
That's why I used to say to you, I was always surprised that everyone spoke as highly of him as they did, because they were talking about Jack pre-injuries. I filmed most of his fights post-injuries, if you know what I mean. Oh, probably I didn't get a chance to see the best of him until probably about 2 years ago when everything was cleared up and he's where he is now.
Yeah, but that's in the past. Like Jack says, amateur days are amateur days, and I've said to you before, I'm not fazed by any of this GB stuff. It's like, you know, if you come with a certificate that says you've been with GB, it doesn't automatically make that you're going to be a good pro. So like with Jack, he's come through, like you've heard of people talking to people around the Northwest scene, is that they've rated him from what he were before, and we're getting back up there. In, you know, what potentially he had before the accident.
He came about 8 months ago, announced him on the scene.
Yeah.
He's the most unknown best heavyweight middleweight out there.
Yeah. Pretty much. I've likened him even when he turned pro, like what's it all from Middleton? What's he called? Matthew Hall. Yeah. He was very similar. He came in under the radar, and then he fought Kerry Hope and knocked Kerry Hope or stopped Kerry Hope on Sky, and then he came to the limelight then. But everybody who knew, I can remember it being in Boxing News, he was Manchester's best kept secret, and that I feel like that's where Jack. Yeah, that's where Jack's at.
Best kept secret.
Well, hopefully Britain's best kept secret. Let's get out there, you know. Like I feel like he can move on to win this Commonwealth, move on to British, and then anything can happen from there. And he's improving, you know. So, you know, we've got, you know, I look at that Gilberto Ramirez, you know, talking, very similar to Jack, you know, like, and I look at him and I look at his mechanical skills, and he hasn't got the mechanical skills Jack's got, and he's there. You've mentioned this GB thing that keeps getting brought up. He's got this background in GB. How many Mexicans win a gold medal? How many Puerto Ricans do? How many world champions at pro level? So you know, they haven't come through.
You know, you're the new breed as well. You're the amateur coach that was bringing his protege through with him. And, you know, I think it's happening, we was talking before, Lee Blundell's done wonders with James Moorcroft, who's, I think, just moved to 12-0, and then he's just brought a young girl on the scene. And I think it's exciting to see how fast you can move these kids, because you don't have to worry about learning how to get the best out of these guys. You know, an amateur coach will work with a fighter, get him to a certain level, and then passes him on to a trainer who doesn't know too much about him, and they have to build a relationship. You've already got that relationship. That's why
I've seen this happen in other camps where they've got lads who they brought in and they can't talk to them the same, right? It's legendary how I talk to him. I shout at him, I bollock him. It comes from the gut, you know, like, and if I want to say something and I think I shouldn't say it, I try my best not to, and it blurts out. And I know damn well that Lee Blundell with James Moorcroft is exactly the same, and they're on parallel lines with us, with the progress James has made. You're saying he's made so much progress, Jack, in this short space of time. James is exactly the same, and that's because they've got the father-son relationship, the father-son coach best mate relationship, and probably, you know, nobody will know James Moorcroft better other than his dad or his mother, whatever, than Lee Blundell, you know, and that's why he's making so much strides into it. You can see it with this Rihanna Dixon. You know, you can see that they've got that personal touch when he's in corner. I was listening to him in corner. He was on top of stuff. She was cool with everything that was going on, and they know each other. There's never any panic or out like that. So it is, I feel, this type of when the amateurs have opened the gates to letting the amateur coaches turn over pro with them, has been a great thing for both coaches.
We've just not seen it yet because it's only been a short period of time. The next maybe 2 or 3 years, we're going to see guys that. How far do you feel Jack can go now?
World title.
Yeah.
100% world title. With no disrespect, there's boxers out there been getting world title shots. You know, like World titles, it's been good world titles, Ricky Burns, so on and so on. If you would have still come back at the beginning of the career and said, would there be world title? Josh Warrington's a great example. You know, hard work, perseverance, same again with Josh Warrington, his dad, Sean O'Hagan's in charge of him. You know, you see it over and over again, but you've got to have that personal touch. Again, with the Jennings, it's like having Scott move in with them. You can see the personal touch there with them. Are you with me? Mark Jeffers, you can see him coming along. You can see it with Brad Ray and him coming along. You know, you can see there's more than just that kid turning up to gym and just being another boxer. Yeah. There's a lot of personal investment in the boxers.
So when Jack's in the ring, he's not just fighting for himself and his family now, he's fighting for you and Ian.
Oh yeah. And the lads at the gym, because they all look up to him, like I said, they all replicate the stuff he does, and in fact, in most cases, do it better than him.
And do you know something? Do you think that's going to be something that people are going to be watching him and going, wow, you've got to admit, what he does now, I don't see many other people doing it out there.
But you got to work on it. It's like they go on about this Golovkin thing, how he shifts in and shifts out. We've been on that since amateur days, like I said, going back to when they were about 17. Luckily, 16 maybe, they'd be off school, whatever, and I'd have them at gloves when Joe Gallagher was finished.
He didn't really switch as an amateur, did he? It's something that
he never used to do it. I've said that. The other fella did flatly, but he didn't. He never used, listen, you could teach him all day and he'd go out there and he had one thing in the head, that they're getting it. And that's it. And everything went out of the window. You could have any game plan you wanted and they were getting it.
But the switching was a trigger for him to refocus, wasn't it? It was a way of getting
keeping his head on it. Yeah, keeping his head on it. Yeah.
And now he's just took that to a whole new level because you've added this, not just a switching, but there's a movement around there where he's fleet of foot. You know, he dances around there, but still punishing his opponent while he's moving.
And he hates every minute of that. He hates every minute of the boxing, the beautiful boxing.
I felt like John Hardy in that last fight must have felt like he was surrounded.
Yeah.
Because he was being hit from every single angle. And that was just like having fun in there.
Yeah. Well, literally, you know, there's been a fight recently when people said they didn't have much know about him. We've had that a couple of times with late replacements for opponents with Jack. You know, being Dwayne Grant, probably the first one. And then this one with John Harding, there weren't a lot of footage of him, there were a few things, you know, this, that and the other. But what we did know is that he went the distance. We didn't know if he could take a shot or not, so we have had to presume that he could.
Definitely take a shot.
Yeah, well, we've had to presume that he could. You know, and we didn't know, his record suggested he wasn't a big puncher because he'd only stopped one, so we and we was on national TV and we wanted as much exposure as possible, and we didn't want any slip-ups like him taking a daft shot and there's stuff like this, that and the other. And I think we got exactly what we wanted. I mean, when we're getting to 8th round, we were saying go and get him now, Jack. You know, like, you know, and that's what he did. You know, like in that 8th round, he went and got him. We were working on just taking the fight away from him. Why take chances if we don't have to? But at the same time, we've got the luxury with Jack being 6'4". He's 6'4", not 6'3". Brad Ray's 6'3", and Jack's taller than Brad and Jake. So we know he's 6'3". We've had him at one. 6'4". So Boxrex's got it wrong, but we're not wrong, and it don't matter. But the thing is, we've got the luxury of him having the long jab, the long levers, and the good movement, right? And then after that, they've got to work that out. And then after that,
it's very, very, very hard to work out.
Yeah.
You know, because I was trying to follow him with the camera, and it's hard.
Yeah.
Because he's there 1 minute, and I can predict where a fight is going to be. I do it all the time. I film the fights. I like to keep it close, to keep it interesting for you to watch.
Yeah.
And Jack's there 1 minute, and he's just dipped out of view, and he's around somewhere else. So
yeah.
So I'm really excited. I do believe, as you said, we're looking at a future world champion. So.
Well, we're not taking things for granted.
I know that.
I know I've mentioned the world title thing. I think that's a working process. But the thing is that we've got to get past cash first, and that's it. If we don't get past cash, then we've got to plan whatever. But this is the biggest thing, cash, and that's it.
Well, that's a major step towards that direction, though, isn't it?
Yeah,
So,
but we're not
big
looking
cash.
past that.
He's a bit like when Scott fought Anthony Fowler. It was a big win for him because everyone expected Fowler to beat Scott Fitzgerald. I think a lot of people expect Felix Cash to school Jack Cullen, but
well, he's got the certificate that said he's boxed for GB, isn't it?
Hey, bitter man, isn't it?
Yeah.
Not shut up, has he?
We didn't get to chat to Tucker.
We don't know, it's what he's like. It's his day out, isn't it? So we don't get to talk to a lot of people when he gets out, so he's making most of it.
Do you enjoy working with him? Is he good to work with?
Jack, yeah, he is, yeah.
I mean, like you say,
I mean...
does he question you, know what I mean? Because I've seen you doing some bizarre stuff on the bike before. And
yeah, it's for camera, that. I mean, you've got to keep him switched on. And he's got to believe in what we do, and everything we do. If he believes in what we're doing, he puts it in, and you can tell him go and climb that fence 20 times, and he'll go and climb it 20 times if you can, if he thinks he believes.
So he does question you. He does question if he feels.
No, he doesn't. He might do it, if we ask him to do something, but sometimes we'll ask him to do something, we'll be having a bit of banter. And if he does it, he does it, and if he questions it, then he questions it. But you got to keep him interested, because they've got to believe in what they do and be interested and be excited about it. And if they're not, then they won't put 100% in. And thing with Jack, whatever we do, he puts more than 100% in. And it's always a pleasure to do things with him because it's just so easy. I've worked with other boxers before, and you're like, it's like your head in your hands, and they're not putting their effort in, and
that's something you never have to question with Jack.
No,
effort, he's always there. 100%.
No, it's easy. It's easy. And like you say, the program we have, it's unique to him, unique to how he boxes, and we just keep it like that. And it is pretty simple what we do. It is pretty simple. There's no.
There is. You use a lot of. I don't know. I see a lot of method behind the madness, but from a distance, it just looks like madness sometimes. So
yeah, well, it keeps him switched on, and that's the main thing.
And that's why he's moved as fast as he can, because you all know him. You know him inside out. Where, like I say, someone else would have had to spend another 2 years trying to get him to where they thought he should be, and you've learned that actually. You're getting the best out of him now because you know what is the best for him.
Yeah.
Well, we know that variety is best. I think variety is best for every boxer, but the variety is best for Jack, that's for sure. That's why we mix everything up, you know what I mean? Keep it all fresh, keep it enthusiastic.
Which makes him a dangerous opponent because he's very, very hard to read. So, like I say, chaps, good luck for November 2nd. And when I see you, we'll have a nice new belt for the gym.
Right, yeah, of course, yeah. Well,
yeah.
Not long, Neil going to cut out the camera after 30 minutes. It cuts out and we're at 28.
It's supposed to be a phone call to you, this, Lee.
It's short for our phone calls, mate.
Fucking make me late for everything. We're done.
We're done. See you later, chaps.
Cheers.
For all boxing info, news, and latest interviews, amateur and pro across the north, click and subscribe. VIP Boxing Promotions. Also, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook.